The alchemy of everyday life. It is one thing to listen to the parables of perception, to let the symbolic stories stir our imagination. It is another to ask, what do these truths mean for me, here and now, in the quiet struggles and triumphs of daily life? Philosophy without integration is like a lamp unlit, beautiful in form, but offering no light for the path. To integrate perception into life is to strike the match, to let the cosmic wisdom burn brightly in the rooms we inhabit each day. Think of money, for example. To some, money is a source of constant stress, a measure of scarcity, a signal of lack. To others, money is energy, a flow, a tool of exchange and creation. The same currency, the same dollar bill holds radically different meanings depending on perception. A scarcity mindset interprets money as something that slips away, always elusive. An abundance mindset perceives money as cyclical, moving in and out, like breath. Those who perceive abundance are more likely to notice opportunities, to take bold yet calculated risks, to build networks that expand resources. Those who perceive scarcity often hoard, fear loss, and miss the doors opening before them. In this way, perception is not merely a lens, it is a magnet, shaping not only how we feel about wealth, but how wealth responds to us. Relationships, too, bend under the gravity of perception. Imagine a partner who comes home tired and silent. To one person, this silence is perceived as rejection, sparking insecurity and conflict. To another, the same silence is perceived as fatigue, calling for patience and kindness. The event itself does not change, but the perception decides whether the relationship grows brittle or resilient. Friendships, partnerships, families, they're all reflections of the lenses we wear. Perception can turn a minor slight into a festering wound, or it can transform a challenge into deeper intimacy. Emotional intelligence itself is the practice of reshaping perception. To perceive not only one's own emotions with clarity, but also to interpret the emotions of others with compassion. Even health and the body are sculpted by perception. Science confirms what sages long intuited. The placebo effect is not illusion, but the demonstration of perception's power. When someone believes a treatment will heal them, the body often begins to respond as though healing has already begun. Mindset, in this case, literally shapes biological success. The same holds true in exercise and wellness. One person perceives a workout as torture, another as empowerment. One perceives dietary discipline as deprivation, another as nourishment. These interpretations alter the likelihood of sustaining healthy habits, which in turn alter long-term well-being. Perception becomes physiology, echoing in muscle, bone, and blood. And what of the challenges life throws without warning? The setbacks, losses, betrayals, and failures that seem to mock our best intentions. It is here that perception reveals its most profound power. Imagine two entrepreneurs facing the collapse of their first ventures. One perceives failure as evidence of personal inadequacy, retreating in shame. The other perceives failure as tuition, as costly but invaluable education, and begins again wiser. Years later, one story ends in defeat, the other in triumph, not because the external events were different, but because the perception of those events shaped entirely different responses. To integrate this truth is to cultivate the practice of reframing. Reframing is not denial. It is the conscious act of asking, what else could this mean? What other lens can I apply? A difficult colleague becomes a teacher of patience. A financial setback becomes a lesson in resilience and creativity. A heartbreak becomes an opening into self-discovery. Life does not stop challenging us, but perception transforms every challenge into material for growth. This is the alchemy of everyday life, the ability to turn the lead of hardship into the gold of wisdom through the crucible of perception.
In the workplace, mindset is often the hidden difference between stagnation and advancement. Two employees may receive the same feedback from a manager. One perceives it as criticism and closes down, while the other perceives it as guidance and expands. Over time, the difference compounds into promotions, opportunities, leadership roles. Companies themselves thrive or collapse based not only on strategy, but on the collective perception of their teams, whether challenges are viewed as threats or as arenas for innovation. Success in organizational as well as personal life begins with perception. But integration is not only about interpreting events differently, it is also about shaping the environment to reinforce expansive perception. Daily rituals, inner conversations, and external influences all sculpt the lens we carry. A person who surrounds themselves with voices of negativity will find their perception narrowing, clouded by doubt. A person who cultivates uplifting conversations, nourishing content, and moments of reflection strengthens their lens toward clarity. This is why gratitude practices, affirmations, and visualization are not trivial exercises. They are deliberate acts of perception training, like polishing the stained glass window through which light enters the cathedral of the mind. Reflection itself is a form of integration. Consider the simple act of journaling. To write down the day's events is to revisit them with fresh eyes, to choose interpretations consciously rather than letting them calcify unconsciously. A setback written down can suddenly appear less catastrophic. A small joy written down can expand into a source of gratitude. Journaling, meditation, prayer, and mindful self-talk are all forms of perception sculpting, each one aligning the lens a little more with abundance, resilience, and purpose. Even time itself is transformed by perception. To one person, a year feels wasted because it did not meet external measures of success. To another, the same year is perceived as preparation, as foundation building, as inner growth invisible to the outside world but essential to future harvests. The past, the present, the future, they are not fixed landscapes but malleable stories, rewritten each time we perceive them anew. This is why two siblings can recall the same childhood so differently, one telling a story of trauma, the other of strength. Perception becomes memory, and memory becomes identity. Thus, practical integration is not about occasional shifts, but about cultivating a lifestyle of perception. It is about walking through the world aware that every event is an interpretation, every challenge an invitation, every moment a choice. To live this way is to live as an alchemist of reality, transmuting daily experience into fuel for growth. The integration of perception into real life is both humbling and empowering. Humbling because it reveals that we are not victims of unchangeable reality, but co-creators of experience. Empowering because it reminds us that we hold within us the tools to reshape the canvas at any time. The practice is ongoing, like tending a garden. Weeds of negativity will sprout, illusions will tempt us, storms will cloud our vision. But the gardener who tends perception daily, who waters gratitude, who prunes limiting beliefs, who welcomes the sun of clarity, will inevitably see their garden bloom. In this sense, practical success, money, health, relationships, purpose, is the harvest of perception. It is the fruit born from the seeds of mindset, nurtured by the ongoing care of conscious awareness. To live with this understanding is to live awake, to no longer be carried blindly by circumstance, but to step into the role of artist, gardener, climber, king, merchant, and seed, all archetypes of perception in action.